Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Forging Ahead community. So, yesterday we talked about the type of rider we want to be, and that got me really thinking about what I want to do differently this year. And that made me start thinking about how much of what I already do has become a habit. So, habits are the things that we do every day. So, if you get up at 7 o'clock every morning and you have a glass of water, that's a habit. It's probably a good habit, but likewise, we sometimes slip into habits that are not necessarily so good, or so functional, or so productive. And when we think about our horse riding, and particularly the time that we spend with our horses before and after we ride, so much of what we do is something that we do every day, and it becomes habitual. So, for example, you tack up your horse. You have to put the bridle on, you have to tighten up the noseband, you have to put the saddle on, you have to tighten up the girth, boots. If you use boots or bandages or whichever sort of products you use, those become things that you use pretty much every day. And well, I certainly get into some sort of a habit about the way that I'm doing that. I guess what I was really reflecting on is that how I want to do things? So I'll give you an example. I got a new saddle last year, a very nice saddle and a beautiful saddle, and I really wanted to look after my saddle. So I started taking my saddle from the rack in the tack room straight into the stable and, kind of showing it to my horse and saying, here we go, we're going to ride now. And it was because I didn't want to put it down anywhere in case it got damaged or fell over or something like that. So I guess the intention was quite good. But I've realized that my mare, particularly, she often looks at me with this kind of like, really, a hello and a good morning would have been nice. So as I kind of come into the stable with the saddle on, it feels a bit rude. And so I was kind of thinking, actually, I'm going to change that. I like to put my saddle on before I put my bridle on. That's the way that I do things. And there are some reasons for that as well, mostly because I want her to tell me how she's feeling. And if she's got her bridle on already, she won't really be able to tell me that. But nevertheless, I think it would be nice for me to sort of do a little bit of bonding and chatting and whatever before I go rushing into the stable with a saddle on. So it's not a terrible habit, but it's something that I've just kind of become aware of. That is something that I've started to do with the intention of protecting my saddle, but I don't think it's necessarily particularly good for my relationship with my horse. So I'm going to have a look at that and see if I want to change it. So you might like to think about some of the things that you do automatically every day, be it morning or afternoon or around the stables or even when you get on. Perhaps you have a particular way of mounting and then you set off on your ride and you've realized you become aware. Perhaps you haven't realized yet, but if you think about it, you become aware that it's a habit. You've slipped into a particular habit, and it may or may not be a great habit. So today's tip is kind of really to remind you to let's be a little bit more mindful about the things that we do automatically. So when you do the girth up, have you become a little bit kind of mindless, a little bit rushed about the girth? Do you do it up quietly and evenly on both sides? Same with the noseband. What are your habits? How have you slipped into a particular way of being that if we just tweak that a little bit, it might actually make a difference to your relationship and your bonding with your horse? So this sounds like a really, really small thing. And I'm here to tell you as a mental skills coach that the small things are actually the big things. So if we start to become aware of just one small little habit that you've been doing that you realize you'd like to do differently, that's a huge step in the direction of becoming a more intentional rider. So I hope that you think about something that you might like to change or just create something new, a different habit, and start playing with it. Start becoming aware of what you do and when you do it and how you do it, and see if that makes any kind of difference to your ride or, your time with your horse, your bonding, etc. So I'm Linda Hennings, and this is Forging Ahead, mental skills coaching for equestrians. I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye.